I remember when I was discharged, I was given a bit of literature on diabetes and reading on the long-term effects. But because at the time when I was diagnosed, you kind of lose all sense of proportionality because you went from 0 to 100. If I'd get a headache, I'm like, oh my God, is there a brain aneurysm? All encompassing. I just think there's so much life to live, and I'm grateful to the time period in which we are inserted in, that it's not a death sentence. You know, it's something that you can live with and thrive with. All of a sudden the nurse comes over and she's like, well, I'm just here to tell you that you have diabetes and we're trying to ascertain which type. Actually, I had the doctor who was from the Iberian region. She was almost like, girl, you're nearly...
Hi everyone, welcome to TypeCast Life Between the Lines, a diabetes podcast that goes beyond the target glucose. I'm your host, Natalie Balmain, winner of Channel 4's Make Me Prime Minister, Omnipod Ambassador, and General Do-Gooder of Diabetes. Juggling the ups and downs of diabetes can be challenging, so I'm here to connect you to some real people with real stories who all have one thing in common: type 1 diabetes. We'll be talking to some amazing guests over the course of this series, sharing laughs, tears, insights, and inspirational stories. So whether you're a seasoned pro or newly diagnosed, I hope you enjoy the podcast. If you do, you can make sure to watch, download, listen, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, or your favorite podcast app. I hope you enjoy the show. TypeCast, the podcast, features real stories from real people living with diabetes. But of course, none of this should be taken as medical advice. Always seek advice from your diabetes specialist team before making any changes. Hi, Diabesties, and welcome back to another episode of TypeCast Life Between the Lines. I'm your host, Natalie Balmain, and I am so grateful and thankful to today's guest for coming on and talking with us, because not only is she a friend of mine, but she was only diagnosed just over 12 months ago. So this is all still very fresh, and I think we're going to hear a really interesting perspective today. So please, everybody, welcome my guest today, Mila Garcia. Woo! Woo! Yes, I love the energy. Bring it, girl. Bring it. Hi, Mila. How are you?
I am great. I'm so excited. As you said, we are friends, but this is actually the first time that we meet in person.
Which is, it's such an interesting thing about the diabetes community, because you feel like you have these friends online, and then it's like, actually, we've never sat in the same room together.
I know, but I think it's great that it's the timing that we're meeting and the forum, the timing of when I initially met you. I was like, oh, I got diagnosed with diabetes. And then funny story, because I thought our conversation was going to be a one-off.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just need to go for it. So I was like, Natalie, what's sex, drugs, and alcohol with diabetes?
Oh my God. But like, we will get into this, but I just have to say, what a difference from that first conversation that I had with you to now, because you're just glowing now, and I just feel like I can see the weight that's lifted off you as time has gone on. So tell us a bit about you, because you were born in the beautiful island of Cape Verde, am I correct?
Well, I was born in Portugal,
okay,
but my family is Cape Verdean. By origin, and I was in Portugal for 13 years until I moved to the beautiful, sunny Preston.
I love it. I love it.
And the most frequent question was, why would you move from Lisbon to Preston? And I was like, I know. I had to hear that for 4 years that I lived there, until I went to university in Leeds. Big up Leeds. Our Prime Minister is a Leeds alumni. I know this because I got 5 different emails from Leeds alumni newsletter celebrating that the PM is from there. But I had a great time in Leeds. And fun fact, my year was a cohort, without giving my age away. The last one where tuition fees were in the 3,000 gap.
Yeah.
So I said, let me go to uni and then do a gap year. So I lived in Cape Verde for 2 years after uni.
Nice.
And then decided to come to London.
Amazing. And you've been in London for 8 years now?
Nearly 8 years, yes.
So you were diagnosed just over 12 months ago, right? March last year.
Yes.
And we have a mutual friend.
Yes.
Yes. So I believe, well, I know because she asked me to speak to you, but you were diagnosed and she said, I've got somebody you need to speak to. Is that right? Tell us about that.
Yes, so Sarah and I, shout out to Sarah.
Shout out, Sarah!
So we have a group chat, and then we're just updating on each other's lives. Hey, how's it going? And I was like, guys, I'm diabetic. And Sarah,
Mic drop.
and Sarah was immediately like, in my line of work, I look after healthcare accounts. So I know this lovely lady who would be great to speak to. Are you happy for me to put you together? And I was like, sure. I need dia friends.
Yeah, dia bestie.
I didn't have any at the time. And then when she put me in touch with you on WhatsApp, I was like, okay, this probably would be a Zoom one-off because I did a bit of social media stalking. I saw you were very busy hanging out with Snoop Dogg. So let me make the most of these 45 minutes we'll have together and asking all the questions, and then blossom the friendship.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, I remember as well Sarah getting in touch with me, and she said, my friend's just been diagnosed, age 30, and she doesn't know anybody. And I just thought it'd be really helpful for her to speak to you. And I was like, yeah, great. And, I do that a lot. I get a lot of messages from people saying, will you speak to my friend? But I distinctly remember that Zoom call, and we talked about everything, didn't we? And I thought, me and this girl are going to be friends. Of all the people, I was like, yeah, this is it. So we carried on calling. And I know I just briefly touched on this in your intro, but I mean, it's amazing for me to see in less than 12 months that growth, because I could see when I first spoke to you the weight that was on your shoulders. And I remember us talking about how the doctors relayed things to you, and there was a bit of a culture shock, wasn't there, in the British delivery of your diagnosis?
Yes, it was so the whole situation was quite dramatic, but I didn't realize how dramatic it was until afterwards, reading the discharge letter and the doctor's notes. But when I went into the hospital, thought, I'm just dehydrated. They'll give me some electrolytes and call it a day. And then it was kind of in dramatic fashion. I'm in the queue. They move me straight away into bed. They start giving me the hydration drip, and all of a sudden the nurse comes over and she's like, well, I'm just here to tell you that you have diabetes and we're trying to ascertain which type. And I'm like, okay. So it was very, very calm delivery. Yeah. And then later, actually, I had the doctor who was from the Iberian region, which I'm more familiar with, in that direct line. And she was almost like, girl, you're nearly dying.
Oh, okay. So that's gone from, this is calm to panic station.
Yeah, kind of panic station, like, what's going to happen next? And then I had to have like a heart exam. It's just all happening. And then taking my bloods every hour. It was just it all happened in dramatic fashion, the way that I found out. And in the symptoms prior, I would have never kind of put the two and two together. I just thought, it's stress.
But it's a really interesting point, isn't it? Because actually, we were both diagnosed as adults, and I was 20. And a lot of the symptoms can easily be passed as something else. You're young, you're away from home, and you're like, well, it's warm, so of course I'm going to be thirsty. Or, I'm doing a lot of uni work, so of course I'm going to be tired. So, I mean, I actually remember I Googled my symptoms and it said type 1 diabetes. And I went, nah, and I ignored it.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't until, it was probably a couple of weeks later, and I went home. It was after Christmas, because I spent the Christmas bit partying, and then sort of a New Year. And then after New Year, went back to visit my dad and my stepmom. And I'd lost so much weight that they actually thought I was anorexic.
Oh, wow.
So they were the ones who sent me to the GP. Oh, we've been joined by the dog. Hello, Kobe. Hello. Well, everybody, besties, this is Cobain, my dog, and he's decided he wants to be part of the show. So, Kobe, do you want to get up with Mila? Go on. Up you go.
Yay.
Go on. Do it. Yay. There we go. Right, we've got an extra guest for this part of the show. Oh, no, he's off again. So, yeah, I remember going to the GP, sort of against my will, really. My parents were like, no, you have to go. And I'm fine. But then I sat in front of the GP, and she said, okay, but how else are you feeling? And I went, I'm fine, I'm just really thirsty. And she went, give me your finger. But yeah, I mean, I knew nothing about type 1 diabetes at the time. And I mean, I guess you didn't really either. No. So it's a big learning curve.
And I'm still learning.
And that's the big part of this really, is that you're only 12 months in. And that's why I'm so grateful to you for coming and sharing this story, because not everybody would be would feel okay to do that. I know I struggled for a long time. So let's dig into that a little bit, because like I said, when I first spoke to you, I could see the weight of the pressure. Was that from, I know you said the second doctor was much more dramatic. Did they talk to you about potential complications? Did they?
I think for me, the weight was the complications part.
How was that delivered to you? Did you find that out yourself through research, or did the doctor kind of go?
It wasn't from the doctor from the perspective of do this or expect XYZ complication. But I remember when I was discharged, I was given a bit of literature on diabetes and reading on the long-term effects. But because at the time when I was diagnosed, you kind of lose all sense of proportionality, because you went from 0 to 100. If I'd get a headache, I'm like, oh my God, is there a brain aneurysm? Wherever I would feel, it would just go into that extreme. So that's something that I struggled for a while to be like, it's just a headache for which you can take some medication and it's fine. So reading that literature, and I think I love technology, but trying to stay within range at times, and when it goes off or either above or below, initially that's that feeling of, oh my goodness, because I didn't reach that target, is this going to lead to insert complications later on in life? So that,
I think that's very normal, because complications, but you don't know how easily, like, oh, I've gone out of range for 2 minutes, so I'm suddenly, I'm going to be on dialysis. So that was definitely something that we talked about, wasn't it? Because I could see you were kind of thinking, how should I expect this soon or something? And I remember saying to you that I was 17 years in at the time with no complications. And of course, the tech was not as good when I was diagnosed. Not all of it was around. CGM didn't exist. So I tried to reassure you. I hope I reassured you.
I think it did. It definitely, for me, it definitely helped in the sense that, there's obviously we try to control the best that we can with the condition, with the insulin and so forth. However, it's
gonna do its thing to a certain degree. Yeah, and I can tell you before I had tech, I struggled. My bloods were not great, but I'm still here. I'm thankfully complication free, So, and even if you do, because actually I did have a period in 2014 where I was starting to get neuropathy feelings, pains in my feet. And I do remember speaking to my consultant, and they were like, well, the answer is to get your blood glucose under better control. And that was a bit of a turning point for me, because I kind of went, oh, I can fix this. Like, it's not, now that I'm here, it's not just a downward slope from here. I can actually turn this around. So I think that's really important for people to know, isn't it?
Yeah, that active. For me, the way I look at it now is just taking even bigger reins of my health, in a sense. I think all the theoretical stuff, which annoys me too, sleep on time and exercise and drink water, but it's true. Those are the simple recipes. And I think for me with diabetes, it's just made it more of a thing to be consistent on, because I mean, frankly speaking, there isn't much of a choice if you don't do these things. Whereas I think from my memory still as a non-diabetic, it's one of those things that, yeah, I'll do it every now and then, fine, I'll do a class or a gym session, and then we'll see what happens. But it doesn't stay at the forefront of the long-term implications of not doing the things that we are recommended to do as a lifestyle.
But I'm so pleased to see how quickly you've moved forward in life and kind of got your glow and your smile. You went traveling this year.
I did. I went traveling to Thailand for 2 weeks.
Not just like to Greece. Girl went to Thailand. Was that your first holiday after diagnosis?
Actually, no. So after diagnosis, which is crazy when I think about it, but I still would probably do it again. When I was diagnosed, I said I have travel plans. So actually, I had travel plans that following week for work, and they said there's no way, which was a good decision.
Okay.
Because the work trip was in Italy, which is like carb central.
Yeah.
And I had no idea then on managing everything. But I had a trip booked to Brazil, and I said this one I will be going. And I look back and I was crazy because I had nowhere near the amount of knowledge, technology as I do today. And I still went somehow. But I think it was a good baptism of fire because I'm the type of person I had to raise the set points because I was just comfortable being at home and my needles and everything that I need near me. And that's kind of my safe zone. And going beyond that was making me really anxious. So doing that, being in a long haul flight and, being concerned with, you start thinking everything revolves around diabetes from that standpoint. Now with travel, it's not even my passport. Do I have enough insulin? Do I have enough of what I will need to go away for this period of time? Do I have enough ice in case the airplane doesn't provide? But actually, I learned a lot of people, cabin crew members, that also have diabetes, and everybody has been super supportive in all my travels, in all airlines. Like, yeah, no problem. We'll try and do this. So that was really reassuring because travel is a big part of my life. So I think having done that, even though looking back, maybe I should have moved.
No, but I actually think I feel like I'm very similar to you. I have to just throw myself into situations. But what I find so amazing about you is that you did it. Because it's one thing to go, I think that's how I should do things or I want to do things. But I didn't travel for 4 years after diagnosis. 4 years. Because I was terrified. And that's the thing what I mean about standing still. I should have just gone, let's throw myself in and try it. But I couldn't. I know, 4 years, when you look back, is a long period of time to kind of just go in on yourself. And that's exactly what I did. It was 4 years after my diagnosis that I did Daphne. You've done Daphne now, haven't you? Or are you signed up to it, the carb counting course?
I haven't done it yet, no.
But you're signed up to one now,
yeah.
Because I remember us talking about that as well. I was like, do a carb counting course. It's amazing. But yeah, that 4 years, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was too scared to try anything else. And the fact that you just did it, I was like, this girl. So I guess the other part of it is that I want to dig into is kind of the diabetes awareness, because you said you didn't know a lot. Nobody in your family has type 1. You didn't know anybody who has type 1. And it is a lot to take in. So, do you want to just talk us through a little bit about these 12 months? Because I said, 4 years, I did nothing. 12 months is a short time to take a lot in and to sort of progress the way that you have. So
yeah, I'm still learning. I had zero. I just heard of expressions related to sugar, and even people's reactions were, oh my God. And my mom's immediate reaction, I think she was just panicked in that moment. She's like, it's all the honey you put in granola.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, Mom, please. But that's kind of the ignorance, I should say. And I don't mean it in the derogatory way in any way, but there's a lot of ignorance around diabetes that you just scoff yourself in sugar. Meanwhile, my sugar pot is there for 2 years because I have so little of it.
Yeah.
So even the understanding that the differences between type 1, type 2, and also in that learning, again, people are very well intentioned with their advice on different diets to try and this and that. I just had to focus on zooming out everything and just following, for better or worse, in that period of time, the instructions on my discharge letter. And that's it. And I say for better or worse because they had a set amount of insulin that I had to take every day without the knowledge of carb counting. So when I was away for a month. And in that time, regardless of what I was having, I just thought at every meal, you need to add in insulin. So I'd go into different hypos and what is happening?
Gosh.
And weather changes. So it was a big baptism of fire in that sense. But in that kind of quest, it has been very, I say, stacked how I've been learning on carb counting, about diabetes in general, even the history of it. The history of insulin, how it has come about through animal testing, and how it used to be a death sentence if this was many years ago. And even just, lifestyle, diet, It's been a lot, but I've been phasing it.
I just think, I mean, I'm blown away by it because there are some significant differences. When I was diagnosed, Facebook was 6 months old. So there was less of that noise from well-intentioned people saying,
Oh, yeah.
eat this to cure your type 1 or do this. This is what causes, there was that noise was a lot less. There is a lot of that online.
It's
there is
a
lot
lot.
I often say, and it is because, we don't mean this in any derogatory way whatsoever. Type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes are quite different. They manifest in similar symptoms. Some stuff is the same, but they're caused. One's an autoimmune condition and one's a metabolic disorder. Because type 2 is so much more prevalent than type 1, and because the media often just say diabetes rather than specifying which kind, I've often said type 1 diabetes is probably one of the most well-known and yet misunderstood conditions. Like, everybody knows what it is, but everybody has it wrong. And that's a lot of that online, isn't there? You do get a lot of unsolicited advice and,
And as I say, it's well-intentioned, but it's very, as you say, it's very noisy. I was trying to picture a quieter time, but sometimes reels and from different doctors and different things. And I'm like, this is great. Yeah. However, let me just focus on, because the nurses recommended me an app that show like the different
Carbs and Cal.
Yes, Carbs and
Shout out Carbs and Cal.
Shout out Carbs and Cal. You are my best friend. As soon as I saw on Carbs and Cals that bacon does not have any carbs, I was like, don't threaten me with a good time. That's been the biggest change since diabetes. I eat so much bacon.
But you know what? So just making myself sound even more ancient. It wasn't an app when I was diagnosed.
Really?
No. It was a book. I got a big paperback. It's about that thick. Carbs and I've still got it in my kitchen.
Oh wow!
Carbs and Cals, the book.
Wow.
So there you go.
Yeah, the app is a lifesaver. But even the progression of my knowledge, when I initially got the app, because I was not aware of carb counting and insulin proportions, I would just see the amounts of glucose that would be expected of. I didn't think of doing the maths, and I'm terrible at maths. I didn't
say this all the time. Maths is not my strong point.
Maths, type 1 diabetes, if you're not a mathematically minded person, it can be a lot. I'm like, this is too much arithmetic from now. Let me just pause.
I know. I think about it sometimes. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe if somebody had said to me, hey, you might need this one day, maybe I might have studied
in school.
Harder.
Teachers, tell your students.
I know, but should we recommend teachers go, you might be type 1 diabetic?
So, rather, you work, because sometimes, especially when we grow up, oh my God, why did I do maths? It's like, well, it can help you work out,
It can help with a lot of things. Oh, thanks, KB. He's dancing for us.
So definitely, Carbs and Cals was a lifesaver, and just seeing from different foods how much more glucose would that cause a spike of. And now that I have a better awareness, I also use it if I'm out socially. Okay, how many carbs, and then to have the proportionate amount of insulin that I should have with it. So,
yeah. But you've definitely given yourself a baptism of fire with this, because when I was diagnosed, we were told food makes your blood glucose go up and exercise makes it go down. And as we know now, there are lots and lots of other factors that affect your blood glucose. And one of them is temperature. And you threw yourself into traveling to both Brazil and Thailand, where it's quite warm. So did you know about the heat affecting your blood sugars before then, or did you kind of find out on the trip?
I kind of found out on the trip in Thailand specifically, because in Brazil it was semi-summer. Yeah. The peak had gone. But in Thailand, there was the element of heat, but also the cooking. And I realized that the default of Thai cooking is a lot of sugar. They have sugar out of everything. Sugar out of pineapple, sugar out of coconut, anything that you can imagine that you could possibly extract sugar from, they do. And my meters were showing, my sensor, that it's really high. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And I went to a local cooking class, and the lady's husband was Dutch, And once I explained, because a sensor is also a great conversation starter
Yes.
when you're out and about. People are like, oh, is that a nicotine patch?
Yeah.
Or, is that for reproductive reasons, prevention? I was like, no, it's just diabetes. And he was explaining that here, be careful, because even my wife had to teach her to bring it down, the sugar levels. And once I had that information, so everything goes, again, back to information, and I started upping my insulin, then it became a completely different experience.
Yeah. That's the thing that people, again, you don't think about is foreign cooking.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's so many elements to traveling. It's not just the packing the right stuff, making sure you get through airport security, don't put your insulin in the hold, all of that stuff. But then, you get there, food, guesstimating foreign cooking carb amounts, temperatures, and, let's be honest, once you've been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, you do kind of go, you got a few little pink cushion marks. Do I want to put a bikini? But you were right out there with a hot pink bikini. I was like, yes, girl.
Yeah, I didn't realize. So I think for me, I've always, not always, but as of recent years, especially turning 30, quite body confident. So it was to me no-brainer on wearing any devices. I'm still slightly hesitant perhaps on my stomach, but just from a clothing perspective. But my arms, my legs, wherever they need to be. But I didn't realize there was a bit of a stigma on wearing devices, especially publicly. But I'm here to tell you, nobody cares.
Yeah, like we don't. I don't know, you said you were very body confident because you were 30, and I definitely remember that feeling of turning 30 and going, yeah, I don't care anymore, stuff your opinions. But I was 20, and I was struggling already with who am I? And, body confidence and all of that kind of stuff. So when I first started wearing tech, a big thing for me was I don't know if I want to wear this, and I don't know how comfortable I feel about other people seeing this, or being in a bikini and stuff. So my thing, when I saw people that weren't living with diabetes choosing to wear this stuff, I was like, but why? Why would you just choose? So I don't know. I guess that's a sign of the times, right? We've come a long way.
Yeah, it's becoming, I think, because of the technology, wearing the technology, it's almost a bit like a status symbol now to an extent, depending on the headphones that you wear, the glasses. So I think it would be natural that we would extend to health. Again, watches, so wearing, and even the joke of, why are you wearing a Ben 10 watch to a glamorous event? And so I think it's a natural consequence that it would extend to kind of status signal of, I look after myself and my health. Watch me and my little device.
Yeah.
That's kind of the,
And I do like talking about it now. You said it's a conversation starter. And as long as, obviously it depends on the context and how somebody asks you and the framing of it. But, if people are asking politely and they just want to know, I really like talking to people about it. And I really sometimes you have reactions where people are like, wow, thank you. I really, I've learned something kind of thing. So, yeah. Well, I think people are going to have learned a huge amount from listening to you today, Mila, because like I said, it's just incredible. You're barely over 12 months into this, and you've come on a podcast to talk about it, and you look incredible, and you're smiling and glowing, and I'm super proud of you.
Oh, thank you. And parts of that was definitely meeting you and seeing how, you live out loud and really raising that set point of possibility, because you get it and you don't really know, and you can get stuck in a stage as I was for a time of, I just need to kind of live life and manage this the best I can. But even seeing through your social media, you're hanging out with Snoop Dogg, you're doing this, you're working on so many different projects. And it's like, I can, life still goes on. Different things to consider. Of course, there is never a day off from diabetes. And that's what I say kind of can be the worst part. But all encompassing, I just think there's so much life to live, and I'm in a stage where I'm grateful to the time period in which we are inserted in, that it's not a death sentence. Definitely, it's something that you can live with and thrive with even.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for chatting with us. I know everybody's going to be really just super inspired to hear from you. But I'm not going to let you go just yet, if that's okay. We're going to take a short ad break, and then we're going to be back with Mila for the second half of today's show. So come back. As many of you know, I've lived with type 1 diabetes for over 16 years now, and it certainly comes with its challenges. Whether that's the sleepless nights, the constant glucose checking, knowing what you want to eat so you can bolus in good time, or any of the 40 or so odd factors that affect our glucose levels. After living on multiple daily injections for over 10 years, I knew I needed something different. But I had a wish list. I wanted something that was going to help me with my diabetes management, but without imposing on my life too much. Then in 2018, I met Omnipod. An insulin pump, but different. It's a pump without tubes. Omnipod lets me live my life without multiple daily injections or the worry of my clumsy self pulling my tubing out. Omnipod helps me live my life my way without compromising my diabetes management or my quality of life. If you'd like to try a demo pod, you can order your own pod experience kit from omnipod.com/typecast and try it out for yourself. The link is in the description. Now, back to Typecast. Hi everyone, and welcome back for part 2 of today's episode of Typecast with my friend Mila. Hey. Thank you for staying with me. So, in the second half of the show, we've talked about some of the hard truths and the real stuff, but sometimes you have to kind of laugh, don't you, at some of the things that come along with living with type 1. So have you, in your barely 12 months of living with it, have you had anything funny happen? You got any silly stories?
I think recently, because I wear a sensor and sometimes you bump into things and you try to be careful to make sure that it lasts as long as it should. But I recently celebrated a birthday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I wanted to make it as celebratory as I could. So I threw a big house party. And all of a sudden, everybody is like dancing, potentially to the song Not Like Us. and the hype of it.
Everybody's dancing to Not Like Us. Everybody's all I heard in LA. I didn't hear Drake once.
In the hype of it, though, I felt my sensor kind of snap back. And then everybody's still dancing, but I'm like kind of dancing and looking for it. And I was so inebriated. I was like, actually, there's nothing I can do because it's gone. I cannot glue it back in.
Yeah, that's it. Like, once it's gone, it's gone. Let it go.
Yeah, let it go. But I was still trying. And I'm like, why am I trying to find this? It's gone. I don't know where my sensor did go in the end because I have a balcony. So if some bird picked it up and
oh my God, taking it back to their nest decoration. Oh my God, I could just imagine this bird's nest beeping. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, definitely. Sensor drop-offs are always an interesting thing. I think I had one. Oh God, where was I? I was on the New York ferry.
Oh.
And I took my jacket off and it must have just the sticky bit caught on my jacket. And I pulled it off because I kind of whipped my jacket off and we were on the ferry and the wind's like, this sensor just flew backwards and I think it might have hit somebody.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
R.I.P. sensor.
I hit you with my glucose sensor. I mean, that's not a phrase you ever think you're going to, sorry, I hit you with my glucose sensor.
And I'm surprised you weren't sued.
No, land of the suing people. So, sorry, America.
Litigious.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But no, they ended up laughing when I explained what it was, and I ended up laughing. But of course, I didn't have another one with me because I just popped out for a couple of hours, go on the ferry, so I had to wait until I ferry done its little tour and go back and put another one on. But that's it. What we call an occupational hazard.
Yes.
Right?
You might get a sensor in your face. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So if it's okay with you, I would like to move on to our next section, which is quick fire round.
Ooh.
So you will find some cards next to you.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you this or this, and I would like you to hold up your answer and then tell us as well.
Sure.
Okay. So we're going to start off easy.
Mm-hmm.
Pump or MDI?
What does MDI mean?
Yeah, okay, we're still learning. Multiple daily injections.
Okay.
So pump or multiple daily injections?
multiple daily injections.
Because you're not on a pump yet, are you?
No.
No. So you wouldn't know. Like,
no, I'm in the consultation phase, but I, as a person, I think it's been a lot of change. So I'm in a place where I have a bit of a groove with how I manage things. I know it's a possibility, and I definitely want to explore it. One thing that I've also done when I was diagnosed is change a little bit of my social media to follow more type 1 diabetes influencers. And I know that the pump is beneficial, especially in a scenario where in pregnancy and having kids. But it's something that for me, from on my personal roadmap, for slightly later.
Yeah.
So for now, I'm okay with MDI.
I mean, I love everything you just said then, because it is true. Changing, you get into a routine. This is your management. This is how you do it. And changing that is a big thing. Let's not, even if you know the change could be beneficial, it's a lot. You've worked out how to do it this way. Switching that up is a big thing. I didn't go onto a pump for 11 years after my diagnosis.
Really?
And obviously, like I said, the social media thing wasn't, as the diabetes online community didn't really exist when I was first diagnosed. So I'm just really happy that you are able to just go, you know what, I followed some diabetes influencers. I can see it's good for me. It's on my roadmap. I'm like, I just love all of that. I love that. So thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Next one, CGM or finger pricks?
Oh my goodness, CGM. I was tired. I cannot even lie to you. There was, at some point, I was just going on my body vibes because I was tired of finger pricking, and I could see the symptoms of when it's high, when it's low, because it was really affecting my feeling, being able to hold a pen. So I was so grateful the moment CGM was made available to me. So
Yeah,
CGM, all day.
absolutely. CGM all the way. Okay, phone or text? Are you a caller or are you a texter?
I am both, but I really enjoy a phone call.
Yes.
Yes.
We love a phone call.
Yeah.
We do a video call.
Exactly. I mean, little, hey, how's it going? But then that translates into like a half an hour, 45-minute phone call.
That is true.
Yeah.
Especially when it's me and you.
Yes, exactly. Started with soup recipes, ended on just having a chat.
Oh my God, yeah, we were sharing soup recipes. If anybody wants our soup recipes, you can find them at.
Yeah.
Okay. Insta or TikTok?
Ooh, this one's hard because both are for different things. I'm going to go with Insta just because I am a millennial and there was a place in a time where Insta wasn't so what it is today, when it was just vibes, capturing the moment.
No, can we go back to that? Can we go back to like early Insta?
I think we're slowly coming into that with all the like dumps, life lately.
The candids.
Yeah.
We love it. We love Insta.
There would be no TikTok without Insta.
That is true.
So
there you go. I like that.
For the Gen Z, respect us millennials.
We did it first, no matter what you think. Don't you just love that, the way that Gen Zs are like, oh my God, we've just invented this hack. I'm like, no, we were doing that years ago. Like, and they come up with a new name for it and think it's new. I'm like, no, it's still the same.
No, I'm not doing any middle parting precisely to protest. Joking.
Okay, high or low? I know we don't like either, but if you had to choose.
I prefer high just because I feel like there's more mechanisms in place. And even at my own bodily level, I can kind of bring it down. Where when it's low, my stomach starts trembling. I feel a bit of a squeeze in my legs. And it's like that suspense of waiting for the jelly babies to kick in or whatever that you're having to bring it back up. So that angst, I prefer the high for that reason, where you can calmly bring it down to range versus, oh my goodness, I need this to be up before I pass out.
Do you know what? It's really interesting to hear, everyone that I speak to and I do these questions, people have different choices, but this one especially, I've really learned. It's really interesting to see what other people prefer and how they feel. And I feel like I've kind of flip-flopped. I think I might have agreed with some people who've gone high and agreed with people who said low. So I guess it changes for me. I'm like, yeah.
It's very nuanced, I would say.
It is very new. Because I don't know if you've experienced this. Hypos feel different. Even if you're the same. I've been like 3.2 and felt fine. And I've been 3.2 and I felt horrendous. So it's kind of like, you don't know, one time you might have a hype and you're like, yeah, this is fine. And the next time you're like, oh my God.
Oh no, I haven't had that. For me, the moment is like 3, it's
bad.
Yeah, you need to do something. Like even on my way here, I was hypoing. It was like, I could get on the train. I suppose they will have, it's a diabetes podcast. I'm sure they'll have the things that I need. But in that journey, is it worth? So I just popped into the shop, bought some jelly babies, bought a drink on the tube, scoffing it. Okay, is it up to range? So even those moments for me, if it's a high, I'm like, yeah, I'll go home, corrective insulin and call it a day. But I think a low for me, it's a bit anxiety inducing at that point in time. Yeah.
I had a hypo on a train once and the train was packed. And I was like in the corner by the window, there's someone else sat by me and there's people all standing in the aisle. And I had all of my hypo treatments, everything I had on me, and I was still dropping.
Really?
And I was like sat there and starting to kind of tears come down my cheek because I'm like, I'm not going to make it to a shop. I'm not going to make it past all these people. And so I called my stepmom, bless her, and I'm like blubbing down the phone going, I can't get to the shop and I'm on a train, I've got no more. And she goes, put me on speakerphone. So I put the phone on speaker and I just held it up and my stepmom shouts down this train coach, my daughter's got type 1 diabetes and she needs sugar. And it was the most incredible moment. It just restores your faith in humanity. All these hands started popping up from seats. And it was like schoolboys holding up their half-drunk Lucozade, people passing up chocolate bars, crisps. And it was like a Mexican wave of food and drinks being passed down the carriage towards me. And then I start crying again because I'm like, oh my God, these people are so
Humans are so nice at their core.
And I'm sat there, we get to the next station, which I think was Wolverhampton, and loads of people are getting off at Wolverhampton. Every single person who came past was like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I was just, it was horrible and also beautiful. So, yeah, the train journeys are real, guys.
Oh, that is so beautiful.
I still get emotional when I think about that day. So.
Humans at their core, they're good people.
Juice or sweets?
I'm changing my mind to juice.
Yes, join the juice crew, girl.
Especially pineapple juice.
Oh, okay, I disagree. I draw the line at pineapple.
This is the end of our friendship.
I just found out she likes pineapple juice. It's over.
Just because I feel the effects faster when we're trying to address a low. Whereas the sweets is like, oh, come on, has it been 15 minutes? Or do I need to add more? So I'm coming around to juice.
I love juice and I don't want to drink it when my blood sugars are good because I'm like, I don't want to mess stuff up. So I'm always like, hypo, yes, let me have juice. My excuse for juice. Okay, fashion question. Crocs or not?
I haven't surrendered to Crocs yet. So I'm going to say not, but I am a Birkenstock gal.
That's fine. So, we accept that.
Yeah, not yet for Crocs.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
not yet.
I'm hoping not ever.
Yeah, not ever. I just don't see it. It's like, why am I walking around with plastic?
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. HbA1c or time in range?
Time in range. Yeah. I refer to that a lot more in my management overall and seeing the progress and where I need to make adjustments. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's nice that you can have access to it. The difference with HbA1c is you have no access until you go and do the test and then they come back and go. So, yeah, I think the access, being able to see it is nice. It, gives you something to work towards. So, yeah. All right. Thank you for that, Mila. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That was good. I always like to finish these shows on a positive note. So, what advice would you give to somebody who, seeing as we've been talking about you being newly diagnosed, what advice would you give to somebody who's newly diagnosed?
So, I'm going to look into the camera and say, it's not over. Take your time. Feel all the feels. When I initially was diagnosed, I felt robbed of a carefree life, of just doing this, that, or the other. But give it time. Lean into a tribe, a community of people that also have it. Surround yourself just to see, again, examples and raising that set point of what life can be like with type 1 diabetes.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, take your time. Tune out people if you need to, and you will live to enjoy life again.
I love that. That is just super beautiful and positive. And you're just such an inspiration. So thank you so much for coming and talking to everybody today. And if people would like to follow you, where can they find you on socials?
Well, as you can tell, I'm a very loud and boisterous person. So my Insta is Lord Miller 26. That was a nickname that was given to me because I'm so bossy.
I love that.
So they can find me there. I haven't made it as on social media as much of my kind of like, oh, I'm diabetic, but it's just there. It's part of my life. You'll see the devices, whatever I'm doing, and I think that's helped. But maybe I'll share a bit more depending on how many followers I gain.
I absolutely have no doubt that you will. So thank you so much again. And guys, if you've enjoyed watching my chat with Mila today, then please do make sure you hit that subscribe button and share our content everywhere. And of course, if you would like to be on an episode of Typecast, you can email us at typecast@insulet.com with your name, age, location, and what you'd like to chat about. Or if you just want to share a funny story, you can share them with us on socials, and we might even read a couple out. Until next time, guys, keep it level. You've got this.